as you know, this album was not supposed to happen. This album was kind of an accident, the fact that it even exists today. In 1982, Van Halen was supposed to take a break. They had just had 4 platinum albums in a row. And they had gone on these 4 really successful world tours. They're one of the biggest things around. And so they had planned on taking maybe all of 1982 just completely off. Suddenly, David Lee Roth gets concerned that by taking so much time off, they might become irrelevant. So he has this idea. He says, why don't we just put out a single? We'll just put out one song at the beginning of the year. And so he went to Eddie Van Halen. He said, let's do a song, and let's do the song Dancing in the Street. Eddie Van Halen didn't really know what to do with it, and he says, actually, I've got a better idea. Why don't we do the song Oh Pretty Woman? One of the things that we often forget about is something that happened in 1981 that was going to revolutionize the entire music industry. And in some ways, it was going to revolutionize pop culture. And it happened on August 1st of 1981. MTV. MTV launched on August 1st of 1981. They get back from their tour, and now they're about to take maybe a year off. A lot of people saw this as a novelty, but the people that were really paying attention were going, this is a big deal. This is going to, in some ways, replace radio. And this is where you have to put this in context for Van Halen, because they had just learned a very important lesson on the last album, Fair Warning. Because as you know, Fair Warning did not sell very well. They were in danger of the album not even going platinum, which is not a good look. If you just had 3 platinum albums in a row and all of a sudden one of your albums doesn't go platinum, that's not a good look. They had to kind of do a little bit of the old payola to get radio stations to start playing songs off of Fair Warning. And once the radio stations started playing Fair Warning, what happened? The album started selling, and that's what got them over 1 million on sales for that album. Think about that in context for a second. Radio was a regional thing where MTV was not. Radio had competition. For example, in Denver, where I grew up, how many rock radio stations did we have? 3, 4? So even if one radio station wasn't playing Van Halen, another one might have been. Maybe if Denver wasn't playing much Van Halen, maybe Seattle was, or Los Angeles, or Kansas City, or Orlando. You had all over the country, you had all these different radio stations, all this competition, and if you weren't famous in one area, you could have been famous in another, but it was all driven by the radio. You needed radio support. It was a big deal, and MTV was about to change that in a big way. And here Van Halen was in 1982, about to take a year off. And David Lee Roth's looking around. He sees this thing called MTV and goes, this is probably not the best time to take off. We're in the middle of a revolution because MTV, unlike radio stations which had this regional impact, MTV didn't have competition. It was this one thing. It wasn't just, can we get played on the radio? It's, if we want to be successful, we need a video on MTV. That became the new thing. MTV took what was going on with radio and multiplied it by 1,000. Now check this out. This is from Ted Templeman's book. When they came to Ted and said, we need to record a song to make sure that we stay in the public eye. This is Ted's reaction. Check this out. When they came to me, they had already decided to film a video for a song. In some ways, it sounded like the video was the driving force behind their idea for a single. So when they came to Ted and said, hey, we want to record a song, he realizes that it isn't about the song. What Van Halen does is they want to make a music video. Whether this was all strategic because they really saw what MTV was about to do and how it was about to take off, or whether it was just David Lee Roth wanting to see his face on television, which is also very possible that that's what the driving force was. Whatever it was brilliant that they did this when they did it. 1982, if there was ever a time to not take it off, if there was ever a time when you could have become irrelevant, even as the biggest band in the world, it was then, because of this brand new thing called MTV. So they record Oh Pretty Woman and they make the video to go along with it. As according to Ted, like Ted Templeman said, seems like that's all they were really trying to do. There's a couple of other things in here that make it really interesting. Who owns MTV at the time? Where did MTV come from? MTV was a joint venture between 2 massive companies. Do you remember what they were? American Express and Warner Communications. And guess who Van Halen has their record contract with? Warner Brothers. So you can also imagine that here's David Lee Roth, and Alex was really on board with this whole thing too. Both of them were storyboarding and super excited. They're looking at this going, by the way, the company that owns MTV, we're actually one of their artists. We're part of one of their divisions. So we have an in. So we can make a video and we can get that thing on there. This is going to keep us from going irrelevant. We need to be on this thing immediately, especially, again, from what they learned from Fair Warning and the payola they had to do. Then it gets even more amazing because they put this music video out, and what happens not long after they put this music video out? It's almost like too perfect. It gets banned. So if you're putting a music video out with the intention of making sure that you stay in front of the public eye, well, what they were hoping, of course, is it'll just get played on MTV, this brand new thing that's taken off. They're going to stay relevant. There isn't a ton of competition out there with music videos yet, so we're going to put one out. And now, not only did we get it played on MTV, at least temporarily, now it's in the news. So everybody, even if you didn't have MTV, if you never saw the video, you're still hearing about Van Halen because they made the news by having the video get banned. I'm sure they didn't plan that, but it couldn't have been more perfect. They go through this process of making a music video and end up accomplishing exactly what they were hoping to do: stay in front of the public. Whether it was seeing it on MTV or whether it was hearing it through the news, Pretty Woman, the single, takes off. And I think it hits number 12 around the country. It is getting played on radio stations. But then Warner Brothers Records goes, hey guys, if you're going to do this now, we're missing a massive opportunity to make money by selling a record. We need an album and we need it now. And they push back, and eventually they give in and say, okay, yeah, we'll go into the studio and record something. And that is where we get Diver Down.